It's time to talk MMA! Hey everybody, welcome to the Mudjug One channel. I am your host. As you can tell by the title, we're gonna do another episode of Story Time talking about my illustrious MMA career. But before we get started, because this is a dipping channel. What's a dipping channel? A dipping channel is a channel where we stuff smokeless tobacco in our mouths and we just talk a little shit. We're gonna dip on a little bit of that Griznatty today for you folks. Yes, this is my everyday dip now. We used to do mail call around here, but since a certain company is being a cocksucker, we no longer do mail call. So this is from Copenhagen, and we'll just do that on cam. How's that? We need a Mudjug spin. The Mudjug of the day is the Urban Camel. Why the Urban Camel? Well, it was on my desk, and it just so happens that we're going to be retiring this Mudjug. So maybe Bruce Lee wants a little pinch. I think Bruce Lee, if he was alive, I think he'd take a little pinch. Probably try anything once. Here, Bruce. There you go. You got a little something on your chin there, Brucey.
You got a little lipper.
So we don't have a new Mudjug, like I said, but we are running a Labor Day special. So this video will go up on Thursday, the weekend prior to Labor Day. We're running a special on all items on our website, except for bundles and packs that are already discounted. Using the code LABOR25 will give you 25% off anything in the store, all the way until Monday, Labor Day, midnight. So let's get right into it, folks. So a lot of people have been asking on some of my previous Storytime videos. I did one on my rodeo career working on the drilling rigs, and some other Storytime videos I've done. Oh yeah, about women, etc. A lot of people have asked me to do a video about my days in the MMA world. So before everything got crazy like it is, and the UFC was basically just coming up when I was fighting MMA. I don't even know how many years ago this was, but I started training at a place called the Shark Tank down here in Southern California, and we were actually one of the few places that was actually doing MMA at the time. It was not near what it is today. I mean, you look on every corner, there's an MMA place. Everybody's a fighter nowadays, Chris, huh?
Yep.
Ooh, I'm a fighter. I go to jiu-jitsu class once a week. Shit. I used to train 5 days a week and throw weight training and everything else on top of there. It was quite significant. So like my other Storytime video, when I talked about my strip club career, when I was working in the strip club business, I was doing MMA then, and we used to practice on a lot of the people that used to come into the club. And a couple of guys, well, quite a few of the guys that I was training with, they were also working at the same strip club I was working at. So it was quite interesting, to say the least. Started basically doing grappling, and basically it was jiu-jitsu, right? Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I entered several grappling submission tournaments. Every one of those tournaments I went into, I actually won, believe it or not. Huh, Chris? Believe it or not, I did. I fought as a heavyweight. Speaking about weight, I have people commenting, oh, you're looking a little small there. What's going on? What's the deal? My weight fluctuates every year from about 220 to 240. It all depends on what I'm doing, how lazy I'm getting, how fat I'm getting, etc., etc. Right now, I'm a little smaller than before when we filmed the Dip Run movie. Chris and I were training like madmen prior to filming that movie. So yeah, I'm getting a little lazy. Jeez, I'm the type of guy that actually I have to be training and eating perfectly. If not, guess what? I lose a lot of size. I cannot keep the size on. The size goes away and the gut comes in. That's just, you know, nature of the beast. And as you get older, hey, lots of luck to you. So after doing some submission grappling tournaments, I did a couple smoker tournaments. If you don't know, smokers are just basically kickboxing tournaments where you get in, well, where we used to go. I mean, the ring was the size of your freaking bedroom. It was like 10 by 10. One time, I remember, and I have an old ass VHS or something somewhere, but I don't know where that stuff is. I used to have a ridiculous right hand, probably still do, and my leg kicks were retarded. So I used to always set people up with leg kicks, and I kicked this dude in the leg. This guy was juiced out of his mind too, by the way, roided right out. Freaking monster. Leg kicked him, down he went. The next time we saw him at a smoker tournament, he had a big old full leg cast on his leg. So yeah, I had a pretty good leg kick, and so I did a couple smokers, and those were very interesting. People in the world that know anything about fighting, they'll know about smoker tournaments. We didn't just do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We'd go for a little while. We'd go on, stand-up Muay Thai kickboxing, and then we'd go back to grappling. But our main thing at the Shark Tank was basically take them down. That's it. We used to take on all comers off the streets. We'd had people come in there and challenge us. There's 8th degree Kung Fu, Shansu, black belt guys would come in and we'd just take them down and they'd be done in 30 seconds. I mean, ridiculous. Oh, you can do your katas all day long, Brucey. But when I take your ass down, then what are you gonna do? Huh? After that, then we started to go down to TJ because a lot of places in California weren't allowed to have the cage fighting, MMA fighting. So we used to go down to TJ and we used to fight in the same venue that they would have cockfighting at. So we'd walk down the runway and be stepping in chicken shit, literally stepping in chicken shit down to the cage, and all the crazy Mexicans down there, they'd be betting on us and shit. It's hilarious. So after several years of my instructor keeping all the trophies that I won and keeping all the winnings, oh wow, $300. I think I got $300 for winning each fight, Chris. I had a falling out with my instructor. Great instructor, he knew his shit, but he was a fucking nut job. And so I quit. I had enough. I quit. I took a couple years off and then I started training again. So at the time I was flipping houses to make money. That's what I was doing, flipping real estate. And I started training in Huntington Beach where Tito Ortiz was training, and he was the thing there for a while. And oh my gosh, I don't like to talk shit about too many people, but that guy, I mean, that guy was a douchebag. He used to come in there and show up and like get all the attention and like work the pads for 10 minutes and leave. I'm like, really? You call that a training session? But at that time, Quentin Rampage Jackson was training there as well. And I used to spar with Rampage Jackson. And that dude was an animal. And I was a monster back then because I was pounding weights like crazy and eating like a horse. And yeah, he used to throw me around like a freaking rag doll. Rampage did. The dude was a beast. He was a really cool dude though, by the way. Funny as shit. Just so you know, any Rampage fans out there. So I had an opportunity to potentially continue to train the Rampage and then obviously fight in the UFC. Back in the Shark Tank, I used to train with this guy. I used to work him all the time, kick the shit out of him. He ended up fighting Vanderlei Silva in the UFC. And I had one other opportunity where I met Chuck Liddell, and he told me that he could get me on the Ultimate Fighter. That's when the Ultimate Fighter had been around a couple of years. And I followed up with Chuck Liddell, and nothing ever happened with it. I guess it wasn't meant to be. I was never that talented. I was okay, but I had, and probably still do, maybe not at my old age, but I had a chin from hell. I had a freaking iron chin. I was never, ever knocked out. Even training with Rampage, you know, you can get pretty far if you have a decent chin and your skills are okay. And back then, there wasn't very many good heavyweights in the UFC. That was my goal, was to fight in the UFC as a heavyweight, because there was none. Now, I mean, now there's tons of them. And these guys nowadays are just, even the shape I was in back then, they would kick the shit out of me. They're so well-versed and well-rounded nowadays, it's ridiculous. So I was training with Rampage at the Huntington Beach gym, and then I was flipping houses and the market crashed. I was running out of money. I couldn't train and work at the same time, and I had to quit. And that was basically it. I just couldn't do it. It's really difficult to be a legit MMA fighter and have a job. You need to be training freaking 24/7, especially nowadays, in order for you to get anywhere. Another thing that was a big issue for me is as with any fighter, you're gonna get injured, and at the time there was really no money in it. I had opportunities that never worked out. I could have made money had I kept going, but injuries were an issue, man. You know, you beat your body up for what, $300? I don't think so. It didn't make any sense for me, and at that age, at that point, I was pretty much just done. We do have a clip we're gonna throw in here. Basically, one of the fights I had in TJ. I'm not sure how good the quality is. Well, I know it's pretty shitty, but maybe we'll roll it in here and I can kind of talk my way through it. Have a different fighting style as far as standing up. Before I did anything, I would always try and set people up with either a jab and, most importantly, a leg kick. That usually threw people off back then. And then I'd take them down, and that's what I kind of did here. Take them down and set them up for a submission. We were always about setting up the submission. It wasn't about pounding. It wasn't ground and pound that much. It was setting them up for submission. Yes, pounding somebody down a little bit can set them up for submission, but it all depends on the situation. So I was an ankle lock freaking expert, really. I wouldn't say expert, but I was pretty good at ankle locks, especially setting them up inside somebody's open guard. By the way, I did have my purple belt. I think it was purple belt with 3 stripes, almost a red belt. I think it's red and then brown and black in jiu-jitsu. So I got a couple pics here. Yes, that's me on right here. Look at that monster. Look at my fancy ass tattoo. Yes, that is a beauty. That's the crew. And that was down in Mexico. And this is prior to...
Dude, how young were you? You look so young.
I know, dude. Well, I've always looked pretty young for my age. I don't even know how old I was there, but here's another one, me getting ready. And I remember, man, I used to get so, like, I would get adrenal burnout. I'd get in the cage ready to fight, and I would just be exhausted, right? So what these guys do now to maintain their composure and not get burnt out and just not get nervous, I don't know what they do now, man. It's crazy. So yeah, this is obviously a cover-up. This tattoo is a cover-up of what you saw in that fancy picture. And I don't know if anybody knows, I've showed this before, but I don't know if anybody noticed, but this is a bull because I'm a Taurus, and this is an American flag because America #1. But there's actually a mud jug on the chest plate of that bull. I wanted a bull not to look like a fucking rodeo farmer cowboy bull, but I wanted it to look like an evil, angry bull like me. So, I don't know, can you zoom in on that?
Oh, I got it, dude.
On that mud jug on the chest plate? I don't think I ever pointed that out to anybody, or at least on camera. What do you think of that, Bruce? Oh, Sergeant Spit out tattoos are for pussies. Okay. Alright. I'd fight your ass any day. He was so quick, I would never even catch him, dude.
You wouldn't.
No. I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, not because of his martial arts ability, but because of his soul. He flowed like water. I'll leave you with this. Always be a man and reach for that can, because if it ain't dip, it ain't shit. If you ain't packing, you slacking. And if you don't know how to defend a takedown, I'm gonna take your ass to Pound Town. Ow, ow!
You're flying, bro. You're like Michael Jordan in that shit. Oh, man.
Exactly.
Now, you keep saying the word bareback. It's like riding a horse without a condom, or what?
Yeah.